All right, guys, welcome back to Auditory Life. Today we're going to be talking about the different tools and modes in Pro Tools. So the first tool you're going to be using today will be shuffle mode. In shuffle mode, you can grab, select, click on audio files. When you make a move or an adjustment, what's going to happen is that the audio files will all shuffle over to the left-hand side. So if you make a delete of a clip, you'll notice anything onto the right-hand side will also shuffle over to the left. So be aware when you're using this mode, if you make a selection on your track, and even if you're not selecting a audio clip, if you hit delete, all the audio clips on that track will move over to the left. Slip mode. This is an unrestricted mode. It will allow you to move around freely with no problem. You can highlight whatever you like, you can delete whatever you like, you can move whatever you like. This is a mode you would want to use when you freely want to move around the session. Now, spot mode, no matter what audio file you click on, touch, or you navigate to, it's going to pop up this dialog box, which is going to ask for a specific time for where the audio files will drop in. You'll find this mode heavily used in film production, edit decision lists, time stamping, time code. We do use this in music production when we are importing audio files from a different session or a different DAW. Next up is grid mode. We're going to select the grid so we can actually see the blue lines come up across the screen, and we're going to choose our resolution here. It will move according to a quarter note resolution grid. If I change it to a measure, it will move to an exact measure or bar on the grid. And as you change the grid resolution, you're able to make edits, move audio clips, and also manipulate certain parameters according to the grid resolution. Here are the shortcuts. F1 shuffle, F2 slip, F3 spot, F4 grid. You can also hit option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4, or you can scroll through by hitting the tilde key underneath the escape key and allow you to scroll through all the different modes really quickly in Pro Tools. Now, there are more advanced modes you can utilize in Pro Tools. You can combine the different modes. You can combine shuffle and grid, slip and grid, spot and grid. We'll go more into depth with these more advanced modes in later tutorials. Let's talk about some of the tools in Pro Tools. The first one will be the zoom tool. All right, there's two functions in the zoom tool. There's a single zoom and then there's a regular zoom. Regular zoom will allow you to zoom in when you click with the mouse. Single zoom will allow you to click once and it will zoom in. If you want to zoom out, you have to hold option. Option will allow you to reverse the function of the zoom key, allowing you to zoom in and zoom out in your session while using the mouse. Next is the trim tool. Trim allows you to trim the start and end of a clip. If you are in grid mode, let me zoom in here. If you are in grid mode, if you trim the audio clip, it will snap to the grid resolution. If you place it in slip mode, you are freely able to trim the audio clip as you like. If you place this in shuffle mode, you are able to trim the audio clip, but all the audio file will shuffle over to the right at the same exact start time or start of the audio clip. Next tool in the pipeline is the Selector tool. So the Selector tool allows you to do simply that. Select. You can select left, right, up, down. If you want to update the selection, holding shift will allow you to update the selection. If you just click and try to select again, it's going to deselect your selection. So if you want to update the selection, you want to make sure that you hold the shift key. The shift key is the modifier for any selection. To make a selection, to do to selection, to create a selection, update a selection, you will be holding the shift key anytime you think of a selection. Next up, grabber tool. So the grabber tool is exactly what you think it is. It grabs the audio clips. If you click once, it will make a selection. If you double click, it will actually pop up a dialog box for you to rename the audio clip. This is also a preference that you can change within the preferences of Pro Tools. but we'll get there another time. With the grabber tool, you're able to grab and move audio clips depending on what mode you're in. If you're in shuffle mode, you can move the audio clips in between start and end times of audio clips and reposition the location of the audio file. If you are in slip mode, it'll allow you to freely just slide the audio track up and down in your session on the track that you're using, or up and down the track vertically if that's what you want to do. If you're in grid mode, it allows you to snap it to the grid, move it left or right. And again, you can move it up or down as well too. But check this out. You see how I'm just dragging this down and it's loosely just sliding around? You can actually control the way the audio file is moving by holding control, just like the name implies, and then just using your grabber tool and sliding it up or down, left or right, however you like, but it will lock it in position at the start location of where it originally started from. So it won't really move out of place or out of time. It would actually be locked dead in on your session. It's just that it restricts you from sliding it left or right and making it fall out of time. Again, the control is the modifier to allow you to control how things are moved within Pro Tools. All right, the next tool we will be speaking about is the scrubber tool. Now, the scrubber tool is a tool that allows you to scrub through the audio in like slow motion or like a rewind slow-mo kind of play. It works really well when you have a video file and you're trying to maybe find the right frame to drop an audio clip or make a particular edit. The scrub tool allows you to go in and fine tune or scroll through the audio clip with your mouse or with a DAW controller. Now, last but not least, we have the pencil. Now, the pencil tool is a cool tool. It has multiple modes. Like you can do things like draw in tempo changes, and that's just draw it in. And if this was actually mapped out correctly, all my audio files here were actually changed and conformed to the session's tempo. You can use the pencil tool also for parameters for automation. Like this is my volume automation view on my track playlist, and I can draw in freely my automation. If I decided I wanted to maybe do something like draw a triangle or a line, I can actually choose that particular mode and draw a perfect line in as my automation. I can also use tools like triangle to also do that as well. And also, dig this, depending on what my grid is, I can draw according to the grid resolution. So if I want to make a certain fluctuation or a tempo change or a parameter change, according to the grid and the tempo, I can actually draw that in and it will actually be mapped out totally correct. There's also square, where you can draw in squares. You can randomize the squares as well. And there are other features that we'll get into later on within Pro Tools that the pencil tool utilizes. Okay, let's recap the tools we have here. Just to give you the shortcuts for these tools, F5 would be the zoom tool, F6 will be your trim, F7 will be your selector, F8 will be the grabber tool, F9 will be the scrub tool, and F10 will be your pencil tool. Now, you can also use Command 1 for the zoom tool, Command 2 for the trimmer, Command 3 for selector, Command 4 for the grabber, Command 5 for the scrubber, and Command 6 for the pencil tool. If you would like to scroll through all the different tools really quickly, you can just hit the escape key. That will allow you to scroll through all the different tools. Now, you may notice as you scroll through the tools, you will notice there's one tool that encompasses 3 major tools that you will utilize for editing and moving around in Pro Tools, which is the trim tool, the selector tool, and the grabber tool. If you hold any two of the F keys that contains these tools, you will be using what we call the Smart tool. Now, the Smart tool is a very powerful tool. You can get to this tool by also hitting Command 7 on the keyboard. The reason you should get comfortable using this tool is you can do many things with it all at once. You will be able to do fade ins, fade outs, cross fades, also be able to edit the fade, trim fades, along with the other standard functions you will be able to utilize with the other 3 tools that it encompasses. Let me demonstrate some of the features here so you have a good visual of what this tool can actually do for you. Let me clean up this session. Let me go through my track playlist here, clean up all the automation I drew in with the pencil tool. Let's get this back to normal. Then I'm going to use the same track to do some of the Smart Tool functions that I was just naming previously. With the Smart Tool, you're able to make a selection. You're also able to make the edit. Now, depending on what you want to see, the Smart Tool encompasses multiple tools. As you look at my cursor, it's actually going back and forth between various tools. You will notice it shows the selection tool, it will show the grabber tool, it will go into the trim tool, and you might see a little white box that might appear. We're going to start off with the trim. Now, the trim tool will allow you to trim the start and end of a clip. As long as you're at the very end of the audio clip, you'll see the trim tool, and you can trim the end of the audio clip, or you could trim the start of an audio clip. Now, if you go above, you get this little white box. This little white box will allow you to add a fade. So if you click, hold, and drag it out, you create a fade in. Now, above this line, you get the Selector tool. You'll be able to select. You are able to make a selection with the Selector tool if your cursor is above the midway point of the audio clip. Now, if you go below that line, you're able to get the grabber tool. And if you click once, you will get that selection. If you double click, you will actually get a dialog box, and you'll be able to adjust the fade from the pop-up dialog box when double clicking on the selection. You can also trim the fade using your trim tool in this mode by trimming the start or the end of the fade. And if the fade is selected, you can also delete the fade. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side for the fade out. Now remember, when using the Smart Tool, above the midway point of your audio clip will display the Selector tool. Below the midway point of your audio clip will display the grabber tool. The midway point at the start and end of the audio clip will give you the trimmer tool. And at the very top corners of the audio clip will give you fade in and fade out. And on the very bottom will display crossfades. If you go to the bottom of the audio clip, you'll see a black box appear. That symbolizes crossfades. And again, you can double click in this area and you can adjust the crossfade accordingly. You can also nudge your crossfade as you like to just fine tune your edit. And that also determines whatever your nudge resolution is. All right, guys. I hope this tutorial helped you guys out a lot with understanding the different modes and the different tools while working within Pro Tools. If you guys have any other questions, please leave a comment below this video. Please like this video and share this video. Oh, most importantly, subscribe to this video. We have more tutorials to come. And if there are any topics you guys would like to discuss, would like me to demonstrate on this channel, please feel free to comment me and I will put together a tutorial to help you guys out in the audio world. All right, guys, tune in. AuditoryLife. All right, this is Shamel signing off. Right here on the Auditory Life.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Che noto leggendario, dore. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
When you think of doing something creative, think HMG.